What's up, y'all?
Oh, look, it's Mr. Brian. How's it
Oh,
going?
there you are.
What's up?
Oh my God, that took forever.
That's cool, man. Well, we appreciate you actually working through that, connecting with us, and also we appreciate your time. How's the time situation? We're working with a little bit later than we were expecting.
Yeah, well, my lunch is pretty much over, but I can try to stay on as long as I can.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I guess we'll sort of do a condensed version. We had a longer set of things that we wanted to talk about, but I guess we'll just do the things that are most important first and most relevant first. So, first of all, a lot of people might know you from doing an interview with DSP. Talk to us about how you found him and how this interview actually came to be.
Well, ultimately, it came from, as he stated, I played Skull Midnight on Snaz Man and Hole Punch. And me and John Rambo actually are really good friends now. So I just thought about it. It came completely out of nowhere. I was like, damn, wait, Phil probably playing Mortal Kombat 2. And I was going to do a podcast on Mortal Kombat regardless. Like, I had people on my podcast that weren't really well known. It's just like, you know, your everyday people that were fans of Mortal Kombat. I had them on a different segment that I never uploaded, unfortunately. But Phil's segment had to be separate because he couldn't do it through Skype through reasons that he said, you know, had to do with DDoS attacks and stuff like that. But I brought him on the show just to hear his opinions on Mortal Kombat. That was pretty much it. Like, I didn't want to know anything about his drama or whatever he was going through. Don't get me wrong, I knew about some of the drama, not all of it, but the intentions were Mortal Kombat X. That was it.
And when he said that he wasn't going to be able to do Skype, I mean, did that surprise you? Do you normally do your podcast through Skype?
My podcast is always done on Skype. And, you know, the audio quality is usually pretty good. That's why it was, you know, a little irritating having to deal with it over PSN because I knew PSN was garbage. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I figured it'd be okay. So I just went with it. I'm like, all right, well, if that's what you're, you know, afraid of, then I can't really say that you're, you know, wrong for that. So I'm like, all right, cool.
Mm-hmm. And then a lot of people ended up watching the interview, I think, from people that are big fans of Phil and also people that are a bit more skeptical these days. Did you expect any sort of, I wouldn't say backlash, but I would say, did you expect a certain amount of attention to come to you from this? Or did you sort of figure that Phil's fans will probably watch this and more so than, you know, people that aren't big fans of his?
It pretty much me trying to, you know, branch out a little more because I'm not necessarily trying to make it on YouTube. I really could care less because I'm doing a lot of other things outside of YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's more so of a hobby thing. And it's like, you know, I put my time and effort into these videos I do. They're edited and stuff like that. And I just want people to watch them. So me thinking, I'm like, you know what? I do want to talk to Phil about it, but at the same time, this could be beneficial towards my channel as well, because he does have a fan base that would like the kind of stuff that I put on my channel. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that probably would work out. Even the people that don't like Phil, you know what I mean? That don't necessarily mean they won't like me.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
Because I didn't do anything.
Well, the reason why I ask is because obviously. I wouldn't think that someone that might not be as connected with the community and really looking into things would expect there to be a backlash just from, you know, having Phil on the podcast. The reason I say you might have been surprised, there was sort of I guess there was sort of like an attempt right away to sort of you know, get rid of the comments, get rid of the ratings and stuff like that. Is that sort of what happened? You were just kind of surprised by things and said, oh, well, I gotta knock this off for other fans, or what was the thought process?
Well, as far as disabling the comments, I did that just because I got tired of reading them. Mm-hmm. And everyone I read, you know, had something to do with Phil, like sound like this, sound like that, you know what I mean? This and that. People started arguing and stuff that had absolutely nothing to do with the podcast. So after a while, I just got tired. I'm like, damn, dude, I'm trying to work and all this nonsense, man. Come on.
Yeah.
So I just eventually disabled them. But then I think it was either you or Dr. I forgot his name. Is it Dr. Fuzz?
Dr.
Something
Fizz?
like that? Yeah. It was one of you guys that actually brought up the whole comment thing. And, you know, y'all made a valid point. So I was like, you know what? I just deal with it because in certain situations, I am going to have to deal with people constantly commenting on things. I deal with it now on Facebook. So it's like, dude, it's a notification. Get over it. It's going to happen.
Well, YouTube
so
YouTube is built on constructive criticism, so you're bound to expect that no matter what video you put out.
Right, and I didn't, and the criticism I didn't mind whatsoever. It was more so, you know, the arguing back and forth about nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you're an idiot, you're this, you're that. I'm like, okay, man.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even think any of us, like, even if we, like, I think a few of us obviously commented on the video, but it's the Phil fans, and I noticed this too, it's Phil fans that love to fucking argue with us. We're not the ones starting the arguments, they're the ones that, they're the ones that like to start it.
Like, some of them, I'm not going to say all because never everybody, but some of them, man, they can go in, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I would read some of them, and I'm like, goodness gracious.
I think someone had a thing about... Oh, Jesus. Anyway, nothing. There was a bit of background. No worries. But there was someone in your comments that was being extremely malicious or something, telling people, like, to go kill themselves and shit like that, and that's something I don't tolerate, even for any bystander, whether you're a Phil fan or you're, you know, just among the people that criticize Phil, that are skeptical about him. That shit is messed up, and you should be ashamed of yourself if you ever do shit like that. So
I completely agree, and I actually want to just clear the air real quick. You know, I have no hard feelings towards anybody that may have said anything negative or positive on the podcast. I appreciate everybody that watched it. You know, that's all I wanted is for people to watch it. That was it. I could care less how many views it get. And as far as, like, there's actually this one comment somebody made that stuck out to me. They was like, why would you have a controversial figure on your channel if you weren't going to, you know, give them, like, hard-hitting questions? Now, I can understand that. Okay, that's a valid question. But you have to understand that the podcast simply said Mortal Kombat X. It had nothing to do with me interviewing Phil about his current controversies. So if you tuned into that podcast to hear me question him about things irrelevant to Mortal Kombat X or fighting games in general, then you came to the wrong podcast. It's that simple. Right.
Somebody said our audio is dead?
Yeah, it was.
Is our audio?
It was pretty much
dead?
about his audio.
I don't know. I can hear audio. Sorry about that. I don't know. People let us know in the chat. Somebody said the audio completely cut out for a second there, so just let us know. I don't know. I just listened to it back and I heard myself. But what Moogle was just sort of saying is that I don't think a lot of people were there to criticize you specifically. I didn't see a lot of comments that were saying, you know, this.
Sorry, I just realized I had myself on mute.
Oh,
I pulled a Fred.
Ah, Moogle was on mute. Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay. So basically, I hope I wasn't fucking on mute the whole goddamn time.
You were.
I think you might have, dude.
Yeah, everybody was saying they didn't hear a word you said, dude.
Oh my god. Fuck my life.
You suck, man.
Fucking suck, Moogle.
I didn't realize. Yep. Fuck you,
bro.
I can eject you out of this. I can eject you out of this damn chat if I wanted to. All right. Well, I don't know.
Anyways, I guess I'll hurry up and sort of sum it up. Is basically no one was really going there to criticize you. I think people were upset about a number of things. So I don't know if you knew this. You not being as paying attention, I think, as closely to the politics with Phil and the community and stuff like that. What he had told people was because of his foot, because of his gout. He was, I believe it was the gout. Now, I want to be completely correct. It was either the gout or some sort of illness, but he said he wasn't feeling good enough to be able to stream Persona 4, which is connected to his Patreon, and that he's going to take that time off. But then later that night, then he went on and did a podcast with something that, you know, none of us ever heard of before. So it didn't seem genuine. You know, I think some of his patrons were a little bit upset about the fact that he maybe wasn't taking his goals as seriously as he should. If he has time to do other things, the Patreon should be, you know, first priority. Right. And then obviously the audio quality, it was completely out of your hands. So I think a lot of people were upset with Phil, that he would go on someone's podcast and then attach some stipulations like, all right, well, I mean, I don't know who you are. I know you're not going to do anything, but somehow still, you know, I can't do Skype with you. So I think a lot of people were upset about things that were out of your hands. And I think that you had the right intention. You wanted to talk to him about Mortal Kombat X. It just turns out that he invokes a certain emotion out of people, and they voice that on your video because you were the one that posted. You know what I mean? So you had him, but you didn't intend like I'm going to wave him in front of people that are looking for drama.
Yeah, and I mean I got that from, you know, the comments. Literally nobody attacked me. The closest thing to an attack, which I wouldn't even call an attack, was, you know, the little comments like, oh, why would you, you know, bring them on here and not asking a hard-hitting questions. That was like the closest thing. But everything else was like, you know, aside from Phil's audio, it was a good podcast, and or like, you know, despite Phil's demons or whatever, the host is a pretty cool guy. So I walk away from it like that was a victory for me because they not pissed at me. Mm-hmm. They pissed at Phil, not me.
I just think it's really weird that people came onto the video and like even the Phil fans. I mean, obviously.
What's going on? No, go ahead, y'all.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say even the Phil fans, they weren't even like acknowledging the fact of what you were doing. They were mostly there for Phil. But the weird thing is that even Phil himself was acknowledging the fact that like, you know, the detractors are attacking me on this video and that. And it's just like, that's not really the case. They were mostly criticizing the fact that the audio is kind of meh. Like, I mean, you go to expect that, really. And then, of course, like I said, there was some arguments that you weren't too happy about. And I could see exactly why you disabled comments, because you didn't want that shit happening. Especially someone that I'm not going to name that was saying some very absolutely nasty things, and shame on you, and shame on anybody who wishes death on people and tells them to go kill themselves, because that is absolutely disgusting, and I don't condone that anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, you got to realize that you're being ridiculous when you tell somebody to go die over the internet, especially something that's stupid over a YouTube video.
Yeah, and like arguing over Phil. I mean, there's more in life than talking about DSP. Believe me on that. No. I just hate that valid assumption that people make, but can you
I actually do see those a lot, though. I see the comments a lot. Like, all these guys live off of DSP's fame and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't say much because I'm not one for drama.
Yeah.
But I do see it sometimes. I definitely do.
Yeah. Well, good on you for staying out of it, but, I mean, for the most part, at least, I know a lot of people that don't want to get themselves involved in drama. I myself, I'm tired of it now at this point. Like, just being involved in it for literally no reason. I just tell them to fuck off. I mean, I don't want nothing to do with it. And I told them to just go take their pity drama elsewhere. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I could really do at this point.
On average, how old are usually Phil's fans?
They've got to be around 14 to 18, most of them.
And
there's a few adults, but I would say roughly 14 to 18, maybe up to 20.
Yeah.
And
to 30.
that particular reason is why I don't really associate, too much with anybody on his video comments and stream comments, because I know that I think I'm the mature one in the room right now. So I'm not really going to interact too much, because I would feel some type of way, going back and forth with somebody that's 14 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not 35 or 38 or nothing like that. I'm 25, but still, it's not worth my time.
Oh, you'd be surprised to know that there are some Phil fans that I've talked to, at least, that are actually really cool. And
Oh, yeah,
again, it's mostly an assumption that people make, saying, "Oh, all these guys do is attack Phil fans. Fuck these guys. These guys are assholes and shit like that." And it's like, no, I actually know a few Phil fans that are actually really cool, and even they agree that some of the decisions Phil make are ridiculous and yada yada yada. That's beyond the point, but pretty much,
Right.
like there are some great people out there that don't really care too much about like just the amount of shit that people give Phil. They'll still watch him no matter what. Of course, they know his faults, but I mean, we're all the same way. We know his faults, and there's YouTubers I watch that also have faults. But I mean, no one can really be the best at what they do, right? I got to think about that.
And then there's drones who believes everything he say. I think it's just a common misconception that some people think that everyone who disagrees with Phil are horrible people.
Yeah.
Right, which isn't the case. Like you wouldn't say people are horrible that disagree, with like racism and stuff like that. Are they horrible people? No. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion and way of thinking.
Right.
Now, it may not necessarily be politically correct, but you are entitled to think your own way. That's why God gave us free will. Just saying.
Yeah.
Well said. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, definitely. That was actually really well said.
I think the main thing with the internet is accountability. I think that a lot of people recognized with you that you re-enabled the comments, that you really didn't have any sort of ill intent here, and you were accountable for your actions. And I think as a result, people said, all right, well, this guy is a likable guy. I see people in the chat saying the same thing. And that's really what the internet wants, is accountability, because when you put stuff online, there's always going to be a trace of it. People can always bring up hard evidence, video footage of you doing stuff, screen caps of you saying stuff, that can haunt you. And I think that as long as you have a philosophy that you're accountable for your actions, and that you're open to talk about why you do things and what you did and stuff like that, the people will be more open to give you a chance when something happens like this.
Right.
So that's just the only thing, and I feel like you ended up, like you said, you ended up winning out of this one. You got the video to your channel and stuff like that. So overall, would you say your experience with this podcast and stuff like that, would you say that it was overall positive for you, or what would you have changed?
I think it was positive, but if it was anything I had to change, it would have definitely been the audio. More planning ahead to get it figured out, you know what I mean? Because that I knew before the podcast even started that the audio was garbage. Because when he first joined the chat in PSN, he didn't even sound like himself. I'm like, oh my God, dude. I'm like, dude, it sound like one of the guys in the comments said, it sound like you're in a porta potty. It's funny as shit.
It's funny because it's true.
I'm like, dude, that's why I was laughing. I was like, all right, everybody, hold on. That was funny. Laugh out loud.
Right,
I put that on the comments because it was legit funny. It was funny.
It sounded like he was talking through a coffee can.
He did.
Yeah.
Now, how exactly did you guys do the interview again?
Right over PlayStation Network. I recorded it through PlayStation Network.
Wow.
Yeah. Like basically all I did was I basically muted a game that I was playing. And I had to turn Phil's audio up to the maximum so it can pick it up through the TV, because the only way to record somebody else's audio on PSN is through the damn PlayStation camera.
I got
That's
you.
the only unless you're doing like streaming or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
but
sort of thrown together last minute, I'd say.
unfortunately,
Yeah. Well,
because like I said, if it was up to me, I had them on Skype, like I do all of my podcasts. But oh well.
now, do you mind if we open up the floor for a couple stream chat questions, and then I guess we'll finish up with Mortal Kombat X. We've got Renegade here who's been putting in quite a amount of time into that.
Oh, nice.
Oh yes.
Oh, I've been putting a lot of time
I'm
in it too, getting my ass kicked.
Oh, getting your ass kicked by a Takeda.
No, just fucking massively highly ranked people online just beating my ass.
Oh man.
Wow, Carl. I'm running into a lot of noobs that don't even know how to throw ice balls, so consider yourself fucking
Yeah,
that
no,
retard.
it's the complete
Well-
opposite of you. I've been running into all the ranked people who have like 300 wins and 2 losses and just completely wiping the floor with me, and I fought only 2 low-ranked people so far.
The funny thing is my experience with dealing with some of these guys that are like 285 and 20, and every time I seem to play these guys, they always suck. I don't know what's going on, and what I've been mean by suck, they not doing anything that I wasn't expecting. They pretty much do everything the lower level guys did. They just do it a little better. That's about it. They might throw more projectiles. That's about it. I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, I was expecting something else.
Well,
Yeah.
Ren here, he's playing the PC version, so you're bound to expect a lot of people that are not very good at the game. I actually have a friend who plays on PS4 and PC. He says the PC version is because he wants to play it competitively. He mentioned that the PC version, there's such a big difference with the community on there because they're so bad, and he loves pub stomping them. And I don't know why he mentioned that to me. He's like, I love pub stomping these fools, and I was like, well, dude, I mean, you are playing the PC version after all. And I told him, I think you're better off with a better challenge playing the PS4 version. And he's like, yeah, maybe you're right.
It's the same situation that Burke was talking about. It's a lot of high-ranking dudes that can talk a lot of trash, but they're just doing the same shit that everyone else is doing, where they're throwing projectiles more, they're doing, mix-up more. It's just, but they're not that good in the end, because I beat like about 3 of them when I played online on there.
Yeah, I've only bumped into one highly ranked player who actually showed a lot of fucking skill. He used the ninjutsu scorpion, and he was just juggling me in an impressive way, not a cheap way. You know, and like I was just in awe of how great he was, and I was happy he kicked my ass because I got to see how good of a player he was.
Sweet.
You know, I still have Mortal Kombat. I just haven't played online yet.
The online's good. It lags sometimes, but overall it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of online,
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to use a couple chat questions here. So speaking of online, Abdul Hakim says, your thoughts on Phil's attitude during online fighting game matches in general. Do you ever watch Phil playing fighting games?
I've watched Phil play Ultra Street Fighter 4 online. I watched him play Tekken briefly, but not too much, because I'm not a big fan of Tekken, so I kind of tuned out on that one.
Okay.
And I have watched his recent Mortal Kombat stuff. I think I watched all his Mortal Kombat stuff, except the Katana matches.
So watching them, that general attitude, you're aware of like his shtick with the fighting games, right?
Yeah, with the lag and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Nothing I could do. The usual him playing fighting game stuff.
Now, do you find that stuff funny, or do you think it might be a little bit out of hand?
I actually find it kind of comical at times, because basically it's like this, 50-50. In some situations, I be feeling for him because I play Street Fighter 4 online myself. I play Mortal Kombat X online myself. And when it's laggy, dude, it's laggy. You may not be able to see it every time, but you can feel a weight on your character, and you'll know, like, this is not how the game is supposed to be played. It's laggy. You really do feel like you're underwater. So I can understand where he's coming from on that aspect. Now, this is when I'd be like, all right, maybe it wasn't the person's fault, so maybe you should, bring it down a little bit. He might call somebody a scrub or something like that. So that's when I'd be like, all right, the person probably just did what they could because it was so damn laggy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's only so much you can do in lag, so at the end of the match, you probably will look like a scrub because there was nothing you could do.